What's going on, everyone, and welcome to my first impressions video for Lifeless Planet. This is a game released on March 6th in early access beta on Steam, and it is described as an action-adventure game that takes place on a distant planet. And it is created by Stage 2 Studios and published by KISS Ltd. The short synopsis of the game reads as follows. While seeking life on a distant planet, an astronaut discovers an abandoned Russian town. He suspects his mission is a hoax until a mysterious young woman saves him from a strange and deadly phenomenon. Lifeless Planet is a third-party action-adventure that features an old-school sci-fi story and spectacular environments in the spirit of a classic action-adventure. After a hard landing on the planet, the astronaut discovers the planet that was reported to be rich with life is instead a barren wasteland. When he goes searching for his crew, he makes a more startling discovery, evidence that humans have already been to the planet years ago. When he comes upon a deserted Soviet-era Russian town, he struggles to make sense of his mission. Did his light speed travel to the planet send him back in time? Or is this all some strange Cold War hoax? Alright, so that's what I've got for you guys. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the opening of the game here and give you guys my first initial impressions and a sort of review synopsis of this game. So let's get started. I'm going to jump into a new game. And as I said, this game is currently in beta early access. As you can see in the top left, it says beta. So this is where the game pops you out, right here, right as we have landed on this distant planet. Kind of looks like Mars, but I don't think it's actually Mars.
Oh, my head is killing me. It feels like I have a concussion. And where's my crew?
Alright, so hard landing. My head is foggy. The sound of my breath puffing in my helmet is hollow and distant. It's hard to tell how long I've been unconscious, and I'm worried that I might have a concussion. I wish I could lay back down and rest, see if the pain passes, but the situation is far too critical. To call that a hard landing would be kind. We crashed. Maybe the eggheads miscalculated the trajectory, or maybe we just hit a spell of bad luck. Whatever the case may be, this is not the paradise they described to us back home. There's no lush greenery. There's no sign of life at all. And where's my crew? I hope they're just securing a perimeter, and that I was only out for a few minutes. I need to find them, get their status, and figure out just what the heck happened. Crap. I need to do it before I run out of air. Now, one thing you'll notice as we move along, you'll start to see things in the distance that kind of light up with a little speck of light, and that kind of shows you where you need to be going. I'll point it out when we first see one.
Crap. An oxygen leak.
Alright, so we're pretty low on oxygen. There's not a lot of things you can do in the game. There's a jump button, kind of a double jump option. So there's our first glowing object, and we're starting to run out of oxygen. As you can see, the screen starts to pull in from the sides. And that means you are close to death. So here is a first oxygen take. Alright, so we have 8 hours estimated remaining. So the controls are using the typical WASD keys on the keyboard if you're playing on PC, which I don't think it's on any other platform, so you must be. And then you use the mouse to rotate the camera as usual, but one thing that kind of annoys me is when you're moving forward, if you push to the left or right, the camera will rotate with your character. However, moving the mouse...
At twice the speed of light, your journey will take 15 years.
That's right. We'll be traveling so fast, our spacecraft will arrive at the planet before the transmission of this interview does. But it's still such a long trip. We'll be put into a sort of coma. Our heart rate will be slowed dramatically to minimize aging during the flight.
How do you prepare for this one-way mission, knowing you will never return to Earth?
Well, I have a volunteer crew of very skilled and focused individuals. We all have a deep desire to explore, to go somewhere new. and frankly, we also have few attachments here on Earth.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut out on the dialogue there, because as we walk along, you'll start to hear some background story of the game. But as I was saying, when you strafe to the left or right, the camera rotates with your character, and that's kind of annoying because rotating this will also counteract with that. So if I'm moving to the left and I'm trying to move my screen to the right, it just keeps doing this sort of thing. Very annoying. Kind of difficult to describe, but when you see it, you'll know what I mean. Hopefully that will get fixed. So let's move along. There's no actual combat in this game as far as I understand. We'll be getting some claw-type item later in the game, but you interact with that with some other buttons that we don't have access to yet. At the moment, all we have is our double jump. I thought the story behind the game was what was most intriguing, and I think it's a very story-focused game as far as I can tell so far. Made that jump. So now we're on the foothills. Whoa! All right. Well, it looks like we've opened up another path here. We found water as well. At least I think that's water. What do we have here?
At least my jetpack works. Well, mostly.
Everything about this mission is a disaster so far. The lander took a beating, and with it, most of the equipment. My suit is functional, but barely. The jetpack can still put out a single burst, which is useful for short jumps. I find I get the most distance when I trigger the burst at the top of my jumps. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. All right, so we have to do a little bit of climbing here. Me and my awesome platforming skills, not. We're just gonna jump across. Don't double jump on that one. We've made it.
Why are there no signs of life on this planet?
I was following a trackway left behind by my crew, but got separated from their trail. Hopefully I can make my way around. In the meantime, I still can't understand why this planet is barren and lifeless. Our remote observations were conclusive. This planet was rich with life, so where did it go? Maybe we just dropped in the wrong spot, but initial readings aren't coming up with any trace of biological activity. So now we have to do a little more scaling. This game seems to be very platform/puzzle oriented. Whoops. I believe we'll have puzzles to solve later in the game, according to the synopsis. Push that right off. And if we move this over to here, we'll be able to climb up.
I need to get up there somehow.
Almost had it. Oh, come on. You can do it, man. I believe in you. Do it for the exploration. America. Onto the next area. What in the world are these? Another fine mystery. Can't exactly get a good look at them. They kind of look like frogs. Or stones. But they make noise, so they're definitely something. What do we have up here? Oh boy. And we're just gonna move out of the way here. Dodging boulders. But that was very strange. Some sort of mirage. Or black magic. And now we have a cutscene. My God. It's the scene from the opening title screen.
What is going on here?
Again, as I'm trying to walk towards the town and turn my camera, you can see what's happening with the stuttering. That's because the camera's trying to autofocus behind my character while I'm trying to turn it to the right and look off into the distance. So, that's definitely one thing I would ask the developers to fix currently in this new release of the beta. And I don't believe that it can be fixed in the options. All we have is an invert, vertical look. Ah, here we go. Auto center camera. Okay, so there you go. That's how you fix that problem. I'm really surprised that's not off by default.
Okay. I need to stay calm.
For 15 years, I hung in cryo like a bag of forgotten frozen vegetables. That's what they said anyway. They played us real good with that story they spun. Another planet, suitable for housing human life. Can't believe I fell for it. I actually have to compliment them on the lack of oxygen. That's a really nice touch. Of course, they probably just tampered with the meters. I bet I could take off my helmet right now. Is that what this is? A test to see how long it takes us to break protocol? I'm not some rocket jockey kid playing at being an astronaut. What in the world is the point of all this? And where did they take my crew? Need to stay calm. My head is still spinning from the crash. Probably need a doctor. I bet they think that's funny too. So we found some kind of abandoned town here. Very interesting. I don't believe I can actually go into...
Get up there.
Okay, it looks like I should be able to get up there. What do we have here?
У меня нет слов, чтобы выразить свою гордость в связи с началом наших экспериментов здесь, в этом новом мире. Когда мне описывали зеленый огонь, это звучало неправдоподобно, как будто из мультфильма. Я и не мог представить себе, что увижу такой красочный мир. Я просто ошеломлен его красотой. И теперь нам предстоит трудный путь по оккультуриванию этой планеты на благо нашей Родины. Правительства Запада расценивают наши намерения как агрессивные. Они не признают наш суверенитет, суверенитет Советского Союза. Но за нами стоит так много побед. Мы дали отпор германской агрессии, стали могущественной державой и доблестно боролись за распространение коммунистических идеалов среди других порабощенных народов. Но то, что мы совершим здесь, позволит стране Советов вырваться далеко вперед и поставит нас во главе всего остального мира без единого выстрела. Мы обеспечим весь Советский Союз энергией, источники которой мы откроем здесь. И я буду стоять во главе этого свершения.
All right. I didn't want to talk over him, so I'm sure you guys had enough time to read this. If you didn't, pause the video and give it a nice read. But it looks like the Soviets were here before, quite obviously.
How is this possible?
Really not sure.
Maybe that trackway will lead me to my crew.
So it looked like there were more things in the town you could explore, but I'm going to continue on with the story here, which involves going over this way. Seeing tracks of blood. Let's get inside quickly.
There you are. Are you okay? Oh man, this is messed up. Listen, you're almost out of oxygen. I'm pretty low myself, but I'm gonna give you everything I can. I think there may be some air canisters in that town. Okay, you're gonna be all right now. Just hang in there, buddy. We'll figure this out together, all right? Whoa!
Well, that's not good. First half of code to Southern Laboratory 331. In keeping with security protocol, this portion of the security code must be kept separate from other half of code. Whoops. Let's see what's out over this way. Probably need to head back towards the town here in a moment. Looks like we found a gravesite.
These graves seem pretty makeshift. Like they were in a hurry to bury the bodies.
Discovered a collection of makeshift graves outside the town. Whatever and wherever this place is, it seems things didn't go well for the inhabitants. And we've got to find some oxygen. I think there might have been some back in the town. Hopefully we can make it there in time. Keep in mind, this is also my first impressions of this game, so I'm not entirely sure where the oxygen tank is, but I think I saw one in town, so hopefully that will work. I think it was right there, right in front of me. Oh! And down he goes. Alright, so it just kind of pops you right back out where you left off. Interesting. I would like to know whether or not that was an oxygen tank. Alley-oop! There we go. So that was an oxygen tank. Let's see if there's any way we can get up on top of these houses. Can I push the barrel? I can. So a little bit of platforming puzzle here. Oh boy, Totally overshot the jump. So we found some more writing. Second half of code for access to Southern Laboratory. In keeping with security protocol, this portion of the security code must be kept separate from the other half. All right, so now we have both halves of the security code. Let's see where we need to take that now. Also, if you press the shift button and hold it down, you can walk instead of run. Let's go ahead and hit this oxygen tank again, just to make sure we've got our oxygen up. And I saw something off in the distance over here to the left. I really like the expansive environment in this game. Like, it's very open world. It makes you feel like it's open world, at least. And it definitely makes you feel like you were on a lifeless planet, as the name of the game implies. So let's go and see what's over here. I'm not sure exactly which way is south, but maybe this is the direction of the building we need to find. The Southern Laboratory. Going in. Research complex. Oh boy. Alright, so if you press the F key, you will be able to turn on a flashlight. I'm not sure if the flashlight has a limited amount of battery. Oh boy, there's that bed again. This game also has controller support, which is very nice. Great. That's just great. What do we have in here? There's no power in this area. Find a way to restore the electricity. Well, here's a generator. Let's go inside and see if there's a switch, maybe? Ah, looks like we're gonna have to climb. I think that can be done. Ta-da! How do I get out of here? That worked. It's halfway here. Skeleton, great. 3 nights ago, I managed to barricade myself in the room. With any luck, they won't be able to get in here. Of course, all I've done is lock myself into my own tomb. I realize I am near the end. The calls from the other posts have dwindled over the past 2 days. It's been hours since anyone has responded. I've made peace with the idea of death, but I wish I didn't have to face it alone. There's a light way up there. What's over here?
I bet I can make use of this.
Alright, so you can pick up useful objects with the mouse button. Yeah, we probably don't want to leave it. Let's see where we can take this guy. Ah, it's a bomb. Thought so. Oh, wasn't sure if I needed to walk up and detonate it or not. Kind of glad I didn't. There was something I could pick up.
So the Russians found some kind of portal that transported them to this planet. And then things went terribly wrong.
Let's do a little climbing. In the medical ward. The virus is spreading faster now. All our efforts to contain it have so far been futile. We haven't given up hope, however, and my colleagues are working tirelessly. We are not dealing with terrestrial species, and thus there is so much we don't know. The challenge is so great, and yet we will prevail. We must prevail. This room looks oddly strange. Okay. Why are there green footsteps? Let's see what this is. Amazing! With each test we run, her samples appear more promising. I will log more details later. There simply isn't time right now. Some kind of test subject.
Great. I think my mind is playing tricks on me.
My mind is playing tricks on me. I thought for a moment I was back on Earth. After the hallucination passed, I found a human trackway leading out of the underground facility. The footsteps glow green for reasons I can't explain. I took some samples, but haven't had time to analyze. The footprints seem to lead out of the facility, so for now, I'm going to follow them, but with caution. Keep going. We're almost there. See if we can push this guy into the shaft and break it. That's what my guess is. There we go.
I need to find a way to turn this on.
See a switch. Going up. This game seems to have a bit of a survival horror element to it, considering we can die from lack of oxygen, and it seems to have some darker themes going on. Which I like. I'm a big fan of survival horror, as most of my fans will probably know. Well, the track's kind of
There's a way
stopped.
around.
Let's go around this way. Whoa. So the tracks kind of go through the boulders there, and then they come down this way, and they jump over to here. Kind of weird. certainly can't get up there. Is there another path over here? I thought I saw something over there. There is.
Looks like they were trying to mine this stuff. I hope it isn't radioactive.
I've located an abandoned mining operation. The rocks here appear to share the same phosphorus properties of the human footprints I'm following. I suspect there's some radiation involved here. Not sure if this area is safe, so I'm moving on, following the green footprints as best I can. Let's follow those aliens. Ah! Some of the platforming can be a little awkward, but for the most part it works quite well. It's probably just me sucking. Looks like we're back outside. We are. And we're still following the footprints. But where could they lead? Come on now. Oh boy. We're at the chasm.
Не следуй за мной.
What in the world is going on? We found somebody. Let's go and track her down.
Hallucination. I'm not alone on this planet.
All right, guys, if you were punking me, you better come out right now. Despite the hesitations of our scientists, I increased the kW output of our electrical generators by 200% without any noticeable environmental reaction. The reproductive rate of the moss-like species we call the green fire appears to be quite high, and we theorize that it must also serve as a source of nutrients for the other planet life on the planet. To alleviate the concerns of the scientists, I have returned the generators to normal output, but the result, illegible, find myself wondering if the abundance of power is not, in and of itself, a deterrent of warfare. Would our enemies lower their weapons if they knew our reactors would never power down? What level of accomplishment would they feel in their flag on the moon if all they could see, looking back to the Earth, was the continuing glow of the mighty Soviet Union? Nuclear weapons seem like the clubs of barbarians compared to the scientific potential we have seen here. More families are arriving to be with the men. Our society blossoms into an extension of the motherland, a new motherland. This is what the great writers of our age must have felt while regarding their creations. Perfection. Interesting. The plot thickens. I'm not going to play too much farther in on this episode. Just a little bit farther. There was that woman again. Come back here. How am I going to get up there? She's just sitting up there. Let's go around. Looks like we're going down. Oh! Apparently you can take serious fall damage in this game. Alright guys, well I think this is probably a good place to stop. I hope you guys have enjoyed this first impression of this new indie title. It is available on Steam for $12.99. And if we can get this video to 75 likes, I will do a full walkthrough of the game. So please be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video on your social media of choice. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.